Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I have a roll call, please?
Jason Tron.
Here.
Julie Simpson. Here. Victoria Hughlander-Heiser.
Here.
Robin Cleek.
Here.
Wes Pullen here. Matt Jacobs.
Here.
Sonali Patel.
Here. All present, none absent. Anybody from the public wishes to comment? No, going once, twice, gone. Recognitions.
Yes, we have two recognitions tonight. The Illinois Association of School Boards has recognized Sonali Patel as Master Board Member Level 1, and you are awarded a pin in honor of that.
Thank you.
And Robin Cleek, Master Board Member Level 1, also from the School Board Association.
I just need a lapel now.
Yeah, we don't have
And the second recognition is for an anonymous family from Elementary North who donated a gift of $2,000 to the school. It was not only anonymous, but it was no strings attached, whatever the good judgment of the principal and staff felt that could be used for.
Nice.
So we'd like to thank the anonymous donor that helped out Avoca North.
Thank
Nice
you.
gesture.
Thank you.
Maybe we could buy lottery tickets with that and then fund everything in the future.
There's no presentation schedules, discussion items. The first one is the proposed tax levy, recommendations for levy hearing by Mr. Ext.
Thank you. Good evening. This is an action item for tonight, which is to approve the 2018 estimated tax levy. What is a tax levy? It is a request that needs to be filed with the county before the fourth Tuesday in December. PTEL governs the tax levy process. It was enacted in 1992 in the Colorado counties, which includes us. It limits the increases in property tax extension by CPI or 5%, whichever one is less. Typically, it's been CPI that's been less than 5%. So the triangles represent CPI. That is our increase year over year. If that represents our increase, the EAV is constant, then your tax rate is constant. If the EAV, the value of your home drops, the tax rate goes up. If the EAV, the value of your home increases, the tax rate goes down, resulting in a dollar value that equals CPI year over year. So the taxing districts, they get what they got the previous year plus CPI, independent of EAV. Tax rate goes up, value goes down, rate goes down, value goes up. Okay, we have some changes for 2018. This was reviewed at a seminar. The big change was in regards to the evidence-based funding for the Student Success Act, SB 1947. The one change that was included at the very end, at the last minute, I've mentioned this before, so any district that has an adequacy level of 110%, then 10% of registered voters can petition to place a ballot, thereby reducing the district's ed fund levy by 10%, up to 10% of the previous year's education extension. So this does not apply to us. We're at 79%, but there's many districts within this area that are at 110% and well beyond that. And this is something they're having to manage with our funding shortage being adequately funded at 79%. We're not faced with this rule. CPI trend is something we watch year over year. That is our increase. And through the end of September, we were at 2.3% at that point. It typically does drop in the fourth quarter. So based upon the last 10 years and the trend in fourth quarter, we extrapolate CPI ending between 2.2 and 2.3%. So when we present a levy question this time next year, the CPI that will be used will be this number, whether it's 2.4 or 2.2 or 2.3. That's why we monitor it. It's the following year's increase over the prior year. I'd like to include this slide so that this community understands the source of the EAV. 2/3 is residential. That's actually a bit low for Lake County. I've observed many other districts in our area that are around 70 to 80% residential. We have a nice chunk of commercial EAV at 26.3%, industrial at 5.3%. There's a bit of farm and railroad as well. That's also a component of our total EAV. So this is our levy request. We have a limiting rate referendum question. The only number that matters in that second question is the tax rate that's going to override everything. That is 3.332646%. We have a preliminary estimated EAV from the Lake County Assessor's Office. If you multiply that by our limiting rate referendum tax rate question, if it were to pass, that would be the estimated extension as a result. And that's what we're requesting to levy at this point. There's two outcomes. One is if the referendum does not pass, then the cap comes into effect and we're limited by CPI plus new construction. If it passes, we would afford ourselves the CPI increase, the new construction component, as well as the $1.3 million associated with that second question. And we would only request that come extension time March 15th. Are there any questions related to that?
Any questions?
No, that was pretty clear. Thank you, Abe.
Okay, that was, and it is an action item later. This is not finalized. The final levy is March 15th, right, as you said?
The final levy adoption is at the next board meeting in November.
November, okay.
Yes, the next meeting.
So the next meeting. So by that time, we would have the results of our referendum to decide, to know exactly what we are levying, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That is correct. Yes.
So the next discussion item is recommendations for the district's automated external defibrillator program.
Otherwise known as AED, so I don't have to say that. The administration would like to proceed with a full refresh of our AED program, along with the corresponding maintenance and training programs that come with it. A combination of factors have led to this request at this time. A factory recall, along with the fact that our units are getting close to their life expectancies. Those two things combined have made it imperative that we move forward at this time. So we wanted to let you know that you could be expecting to see a pretty big bill pretty soon for the refresh. A couple of you had some questions, which we attempted to address in the document that looks like this. If hopefully you've seen it. And we feel like we were able to proactively answer those questions. So again, we recommend that we move forward with this, but we open it up to any further discussion at this time.
Any questions?
I do. I'm just trying to make sure one last time that it's not already answered in here. So my two questions, one would be, I guess I'm partially understanding the reason that we're saying we can't just have Philips replace these AED units, like oftentimes happens with a recall. Somebody fixes it or replaces it. I understand that the fix that they've offered, at least as of the last thing I could research, had not yet been approved by the FDA or whatever bureau approves those. I would think, though, that there has to be some sort of compensation, or I would think there's some way to make people whole who have had to expend thousands of dollars replacing these units. Is there not? I mean, is there not a class action we can jump into? Is there, I mean, where is this? Because I can't really believe that everybody would just eat it on this and that there's no way to amend.
Well, the way I understand it, Robin and Abe and Renee, if you'd like to jump in too, the company is completely shut down right now. And,
Phillips?
At least regarding making this particular.
I was going to say maybe this division,
No,
but Phillips
this
is very much in
No,
business.
this particular product.
Mm-hmm.
And so any kind of fix involving replacement units would not be able to occur because they are not even allowed right now to manufacture anything in this area.
Right, which I acknowledged, but I'm still wondering, is there no compensation financially for people who have had to expend thousands of dollars? I mean, we're not the only ones. There's institutions that use these that are much larger than ourselves. I mean, is there a class action? Like, is there some way to make us partially whole or to subsidize replacing all these units?
So we continue to monitor to see if there is. Certainly, we would support such a suit if that were to take place. We are receiving a $6,500 credit on the old units. The American Heart Association recommends 5 years for the design life, and typically 8 is also accepted. We're going with 8. All of our units are at, 20 of them are at 8 or older. And there's the remaining 6 that are the Philips units are at 5 years of age. They also need upgrades with the pads and batteries and whatnot. But to answer your question, we're going to continue to monitor to see if there is a suit. We would support that.
Okay, so my other question then is, have we tested these units recently to see if they're still working despite the fact that these were recalled? Because when I read the recall, it sounded like it actually affected a fairly small percentage of their units. So how do we even know that ours aren't working? Has anybody tested them?
Yep, they've been tested. So that's taken place. Mr. Christensen had a family emergency this evening. He couldn't attend, but he definitely has the complete background on this issue, good control over the issue.
Abe, when did that, I know we did a full audit of each unit. When did that take place?
I want to say it was about 1 week ago that took place. And again, it's 26 units in total that are 5 to 10 years old. And 20 of them are past, not only on recall, but past their design life. And the other 6 are at 5 years of age, which are the Philips units. And we recommend replacing them beyond that. It's nearing the end of their design life. Having them standardized throughout the district would support, on the user end, having the same unit throughout the district would make sense. And it would also support a maintenance and inspection program. If cardiac science were to provide us all the other units, we'd want them to be the same manufacturer throughout because they wouldn't inspect the Philips units. So we'd like to have the same type throughout.
But while they've all been tested and we feel, confident should there be anything that arises now, we'd rather not wait. Again, they're all past, either at or past their life expectancy.
I appreciate that. Obviously, I would never want to be even remotely responsible. God forbid anything should happen and these fail. I just want to be really cautious about how much money we're spending, especially right now when we're already up against some big expenses and running a deficit. So, a lot of times there's a big incentive for manufacturers to say it's got a useful life of 8 to 10 years when actually the useful life is much longer. They have a financial motive to shorten the useful life. So I just want to make sure that these were really something that we felt needed to be replaced. Were these units, like I said, were they tested? Yes, sounds like they were tested a week ago. What's our protocol going forward to make sure everybody's trained on a new unit? And that includes, I would assume that if a substitute nurse comes in for the day, the substitutes know how to use them. You know, what's the protocol for that? Because if we aren't even taking these portables outside for gym class and stuff like that, then I don't see how it's useful to, you know, there has to be some kind of procedure or protocol that's actually followed if we're going to spend the money to do these, because for them to sit on a shelf is useless if everybody's outside.
Yeah, go ahead.
So training would be provided as part of this. Training would be provided on site to all the nurses.
Mark and I thought that the most attractive part of the proposal, in addition to refreshing these units that need to be refreshed, is that it comes with a corresponding maintenance and training program. We could put together something ourselves, but these folks, this is what they do. So they will literally come in and X number of times a year test everything, X number of times a year order what's needed. And what's really nice is the full training. So yes, if a substitute nurse comes in, if we've got some new coaches that haven't been exposed, all we have to do is make a call and they're there.
Really what we're seeking is to be able to go forward with making sure we have working AEDs. Then also within this move, let us proceed for remedy from Philips or anybody related
Right.
to that. And if we need to get legal advice, we can move forward on it because it's a nice sum of money here. And you don't want to walk away and just say, okay, well, it didn't work, we're going to buy new ones.
Right.
They shouldn't be off the hook. But the
Right.
key is protection, major liability
Of
for
course,
us.
of course,
We don't want to think of it that way, but the protection of anyone at any event who has an episode, we wouldn't live with ourselves if something happened.
Right.
So I think that's the mover here.
Okay. Thank you.
So how would we prevent ourselves from having to do another mass turnover or buying of another full set, so to speak, all at once? I mean, if they have a certain lifespan, we're buying them all at once, then I would assume that 10, 15 years when their life done, now we're going to have to, 8 years, whatever it is, we're going to have to redo it again.
Says Phillips.
Is it possible to have a slow refurbish or, I mean,
We're on a 4-year payment plan for this, so it's around $25,000 a year for 4 years, and it would be an 8-year refresh on a go-forward basis after that. Would be
Yeah.
the phase in, phase out
would it be
plan.
possible to refresh, a couple every year so that we spread out the hit to the district?
So we're going to spread out over 4 years. There'd be a 4-year break.
So that's the payment for all the units.
But
But what I'm saying is in 8 years or in 10 years, when we have to replace all of them again,
Yep.
we're going to have that same hit
Yeah,
again.
it might prove problematic in that they're all the same age
Exactly,
right now. So
so-
how do we hang on to 4 or 5, 8 to 10-year-old units and hope they stay, working okay? It's taking a bit of a risk, I believe.
It's just the nature of these units. We buy them all, and then it's time to replace them all at the
And
same time.
there may be a better model today, a longer-term model, something that's simpler and easier, less costly. We have to really dig into the whole AED market and see where we're at, because we're starting from scratch, basically. So it's a good opportunity for us to see what else is out there.
It's a good
All
point.
the units are not that expensive.
Yep.
You see them at airports and places like that. They're portable, small units that may replace some of the things that we have. So we could be okay.
Any more questions? Comments?
Good questions.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it for the discussion items. The next is the consent agenda, which is board meeting minutes of October 8th, the closed session minutes of September 17th. They were given to you in your packet right now to read. I'll give you some. The acceptance of donation from the Elementary North family, the expenditure report, the Amex report of September, the kindergarten project cost log, the renumbering of index, 42 closed meeting minutes which were removed last time, and personnel which has a resignation and a leave of absence. So I'll give a couple minutes for people to read through the closed session minutes and then,
Can I have those taken out?
okay.
What do you want taken out?
The closed session.
Closed session.
Oh.
He was absent.
Do you want your name, was your name on there? Is that it?
That was
No, just
absent for
separate,
that.
so we
Oh,
can vote on
So
it
he can
separately.
abstain.
Okay, gotcha.
Put your name on there?
Huh?
Members absent.
I
No,
didn't,
had
I
you as
didn't look at
members
it,
absent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thought I done lost my mind again.
So now the consent agenda would be board meeting minutes of October 8th, acceptance for the donation, expenditure report, the annex report, the kindergarten project rocks, the new renumbering of an index item, and personnel.
Weren't there 2 resignations?
No.
No,
One.
there wasn't one recess supervisor and one teacher or something?
I think recess supervisor doesn't come. through.
Doesn't
Yeah.
come under personnel?
But yeah, no, because it's only certified staff that comes
Okay.
through. I think we get it as an information, but it's not a
Gotcha.
consent agenda.
Okay, ma'am.
Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as amended.
I second.
Motion by Julie, seconded by Robin. Any discussion or any comments?
Consent.
It's consent, sorry. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Jason Tron,
Aye.
Julie Simpson,
Aye.
Victoria Helander Heiser,
Aye.
Robin Cleek,
Aye.
West Pole and I, Matt Jacobs,
Aye.
Sonali Patel.
Aye. Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays. The next consent agenda item is the closed session minutes for September 17th. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from October 17th?
September 7th.
September 17th, sorry.
Do I have a second?
Second.
You can't second, you're abstaining.
Oh, you're right.
I second.
You blew your big moment.
I blew it.
Motion by Julie, seconded by Wes. Could I have
All
a roll call?
excited.
Jason Tron,
Aye.
Julie Simpson,
Aye.
Victoria Helander Heiser,
Aye.
Robin Cleek,
Aye.
West-
Actually, you should abstain,
Yeah.
but I say aye for myself.
Okay. West Pole and I, Matt Jacobs,
Abstain.
Sonali Patel.
Aye. Motion passes 5 ayes, 2 abstentions. The next action item is the proposed tax levy recommendation for levy hearing on November 12th. I'll make the motion and then we can have a discussion. I move that the Board of Education approve the resolution regarding estimated amounts necessary to be levied for the year 2018. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who said that?
Julie.
Motion by Sonali, seconded by Julie. Any discussions? Or questions, comments?
Smarty.
I waited.
Huh?
Said I waited a minute. Nobody else said
He
anything.
could have seconded that one.
That one
He
I
let-
could've.
he blew his moment.
Could I have a roll call, please?
Sonali Patel,
Aye.
Matt Jacobs,
Aye.
West Pole and I, Robin Cleek,
Aye.
Victoria Helander Heiser,
Aye.
Julie Simpson,
Aye.
Jason Tron.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays. After that, we have, I'm going to let you do it, superintendent's report.
Well, the first thing we want to talk about are the dates for interviews for superintendent. And I just want to make sure, because we're starting to talk to people. By the way, we've crossed the number 40. So we have a really, really good pool of interested applicants. And we will close this off next week. So there'll be still another almost week to go. People can still apply, which is really good. And knowing how people are, last minute applicants will come flooding in, just like paying your taxes. Why do people wait till the last minute? Just get a rush out of that. So let's see what our candidates do. So we're very fortunate. Things are going to really move fast. The dates that Sonali gave me, let's make sure we're all good here, are November 26th, 6 PM before our board meeting. We're going to deliver the slate. And,
Is it 6 p.m. or 5 p.m.?
well,
How
you
much time
have
do you need?
Initially,
We can
we
move
said
it
2
to 5.
hours. We need 2 hours.
So we need to
So
do 5.
5. So we'll move
yeah.
it to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
11:26 at 5.
So get that on the calendar, please.
Oh.
11:26.
Wes, don't do this.
No, just kidding. Okay.
So the
She
next,
can't come.
I'm okay.
Got you.
She can't come otherwise.
We're moving on.
No.
All right.
get
next.
that in your home calendars too.
Yep.
November 28th and November 30th, December 3rd and December 7th.
Wait, what time on the 28th and 30th?
Now, the 28th and the 30th, you'll only be seeing 2 people each night.
So 6.
So your schedules can dictate that because there's plenty of time to get 2 people in. You'll need about an hour and 15 minutes per person.
I do 6.
6:30.
I mean, I say the earlier the better, but I mean, whatever anybody can do.
The candidates will be there, so don't worry about that.
Jason?
28th and 30th. 30th I can do anytime.
And 28th?
Six 6:30.
6:30. So
Okay.
let's keep it at 6:30
Oh.
for.
I could do 6.
Are you sure?
28th, 6,
28th,
Six
6.
at
Both then?
6 o'clock at both.
okay.
Okay, Friday is 30th is a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, can you do earlier? Because Jason says he can do any time, so.
Yeah.
So you can, want to do 5-ish?
I have a conflict on the 30th. But I can come. I just can't be here until 5:30.
So
Okay,
let's do
so then let's
5:30.
just do 6 o'clock.
6,
6
leave it at
o'clock?
6 then.
6
Okay.
o'clock for both.
Okay.
December 3rd, and December 3rd will be a special meeting just to discuss the candidates, from what I understand.
No, because we have 28th, 30th, we're getting 6 candidates, right? So that'll be just
Right.
two. So we'll need the third for the next set of 2s.
So you're going, let's just make sure we're all on the same page
hold
here.
on.
So on the 30th, after the second candidate, you'll
After the
stay,
4th.
well, actually, after the 6th candidate, the second candidate that night, you will stay and then determine who your
I'm not
finalists
getting
will be.
No.
No.
We are
So
doing
you're saying
2
there's
a
2 on the
night.
26th?
They haven't done
Right.
the final 2 candidates. That's
I'm sorry, yeah.
So the 28th
I
will
counted
be
the
2.
26th, my
Okay.
fault,
Alright.
my bad. Okay, so the
20th is
3rd,
2 candidates, the 30th is 2 candidates, the 3rd is 2 candidates.
Yeah.
and that's 6 o'clock on the
6
3rd.
o'clock, okay.
Yeah.
6 o'clock for
Okay.
you, Jason?
On the
So,
3rd.
you can do 2 things. You can stay after the second candidate on the 3rd, and then, determine who your 2 finalists are going to be, or you've built in a day to have another meeting just to talk about them, from what we discussed.
I think it's a lot to process, and I don't know if I'll be ready, like, immediately after to do that. I mean, if everybody else wants to do it, I'll figure out how to wrap my
There's
head
some
around it.
advantages to having the people right in front of you. I mean, the last 2 do get an advantage. If you wait a day, there really isn't much. So,
The next date that works is the 7th to meet and narrow them down.
I mean, as much as I do not want to have another meeting because we've got a lot, I'd really like to take the time to go over all of my notes
Yeah,
and
it's
come
a
back
lot.
to a separate meeting
It's a
so
lot.
that, I can put my pros and cons and,
So that meeting will be on the 7th, again at 6 p.m.
Yeah, unless.
or since that's all you're doing is talking candidates, you could start a little later if you get family settled and things like that. You could start at any time, whatever you want.
Whatever works.
Let's do 6 so we can get out
Okay.
of here.
I was gonna say it's a Friday night, like, not that I have big
6
party
work.
plans, but I'm
Yep.
usually pretty tired by Friday.
I mean,
No comment.
if after Monday if it's easy and we all are in agreement with 2 right away, we don't need that Friday.
That's true.
We don't know.
Right,
I guess
yeah.
we
It's
can
like, we
like
just don't
do a
know.
rough,
That's
but
You
correct.
could always cancel.
Yep,
Yeah.
we can always
That's right.
cancel if we
We
don't
have
need
it
it.
scheduled.
Yeah.
Let's have it
Good
scheduled.
point,
so
Jason.
Correct.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Then you will be at 2 finalists.
Right.
Sometimes boards find themselves in a position where they have 3.
Okay.
We can kind of plan on 2.
Okay.
And if you're stuck and you want to see 3 again, we'll just gerrymander this rest of the schedule. So the 2 would be one night for each of the final 2 to have dinner. You've told me where you'd like to go, and we'll set that up. But those nights are either the 10th, 11th, 13th, and save the 14th for breaking down and finalizing, or 10th and 11th, and stay after on the 11th and make your decision.
Let's do 10th and 11th, and then a separate
Yeah,
meeting for the same reason, I would guess.
yes. I don't want to be
Okay.
rehashing anything in a parking lot.
Well, hopefully it doesn't get to that.
Yeah, I mean.
No, but still.
Same thing. I mean, like, if we all of a sudden, like, the 7 of us are like, this one, we don't, then.
If there's
oh,
unanimous consent after
But if
dinner
not,
on the
dinners,
11th,
Jason's right there. That happens a lot.
yeah,
It does,
there may be.
it does.
and
So
then,
let's do 10th, 11th, and right now
But better
let's
to
all,
have it.
let's book all the dates, keep
Right.
them all.
Put it on,
Right.
put the
The
date on the
13th will
13th.
be the 13th will be your decision date.
So
And
wait,
then if you go with 3, the 13th will be moved to
are
the
those all going to be
14th.
at 6 p.m.? Are we doing 6:30?
You tell us when you
I
want to
mean,
do that.
Jason's really the wild card. I think Matt, maybe too.
Nope.
You're good?
whatever.
It's if it's dinner, then we could do 6 because I can just go
Yeah,
straight from
you're
work.
having
Okay.
dinner, you're gonna have a little social opportunity and then ask questions.
Okay. So what time on the
6.
13th? Also
6?
6 for
6.
everything, it sounds like.
6
Okay.
all the way across.
Except for the
Okay.
26th of November, which is 5.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got November 26th, November 28th, November 30th, December 3rd, December 7th, December 10th, December 11th, and December 13th.
Right now,
Mhm.
yes.
With
And keep the
14th in
fourth-
reserve.
14th in reserve and 17th is a board meeting. Keep it in reserve for a closed session before. or-
Reserve 14th and early on 17th.
Yeah, just because it's our board meeting
Okay.
anyway, but keep the hour before it open, just in case if we need it for anything. On a closed session.
And I did hear from several of you where you'd like to hold these dinners. And we'll arrange it. If anybody has another idea, let us know. But we're going to do that tomorrow because holiday season, it's not always easy to get a private room.
I was going to say anywhere with a private room is fine.
Private room is the key. Absolutely.
What was the favorite suggestion so far?
Wildfire.
Chipotle.
I don't care if it's
Chipotle.
McDonald's if they have a private
Somebody
room.
make it sick.
Yeah.
I mean, I care because I don't think that would make a good
We don't
impression.
want to
But
do that to a candidate.
what if it has a play place?
If that's what you want,
Chick-fil-A.
we just post
No,
it.
I'm
And
good.
whoever comes by and sees the interview, good for them. Okay, very exciting.
Got it all
For
done.
those of you in the audience, they'll be, watch out for them peeking in the window, having a similar reservation those evenings at the same restaurant. I can just see
All
that
of them?
as a group.
As a group.
Lynn's going to lead that group into a private room with a wall. Yeah. Yes. So that's critical. Everything just rolling along perfectly. And so you're very enticing to a lot of candidates. They really would like to come to this district. So this is great. One more quick thing, and then I don't have anything else. We've heard and been teased, and Alice and I talked about this again, on the release date for the ESSA designations. So I was at a superintendent's retreat last week, and all kinds of misinformation is out there. Many districts have gotten their designations only to be told there were mistakes and that it's withdrawn. Districts that had low-performing schools thought they were going to be in line for state funding to help the low-performing schools. Not going to happen. They were raised just slightly above low-performing.
Huh.
So low-performing
Strange, really.
bottom 5%,
Convenient.
they're in the 6%,
Huh.
that type of thing. It's really confused a
Convenient.
lot of people, especially some of our neighbors to the north. in some of our, less affluent districts. So I think, Allison, it's going to be the 31st. Have you heard any more?
We should hear on the 30th, and then the official release is the 30th.
So we're not jumping the gun on any of this because things have changed pretty rapidly. Either way, we will look pretty good.
And one more thing from the superintendent's report on a positive note. On Jill Martin, on behalf of the Hawthorne 73 Foundation, wanted to thank all the board members who supported the effort last Friday night. And Jill also reports that the event raised $10,000, which was what their goal was. And on behalf of the administration and the board, thank you, Jill. We know what a
Yeah, thank you.
monumental
Thank you.
effort that was.
And everybody, that had the opportunity, we know we were.
Board members here too as well.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
introduce if you need to.
Well,
Yeah.
Lauren was, instrumental in planning our event. It was a great event. We were so excited to reach our goal of $10,000, and it was great to have you all there for a fun evening. So our grant process will kick off in January, and we vote on the grants in April. We present them to staff in May, and then fund the project. So we're very excited.
How exciting.
Yay.
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Jill.
And we know everyone would have done their best, but there were conflicts, and it's a big district, lots of things going on. So no one's holding it against you if you were unable to come because you were at Snowflake. And I know you were helping at
Me and Rob.
Snowflake. And Rob. And so it's good. It's a very positive feeling, and those of us who were there could take away from everyone who attended the positivity towards this district. And I won't talk about the other thing that's going on, the positive piece, because we can't politic. But the reality of it is you could feel the vibe. It was good.
It was a fun night.
It really was.
Great.
That's it for our report.
Now, one quick thing, and we're not sure how deep in the woods you want to get on this. It's the resolutions for the IASB conference. We mentioned that in a little prompt. The fact is, Sonali will represent our district. There are competing resolutions regarding school safety. Some of them are from downstate. There are some very different needs downstate. And we're pretty much of the opinion that we'd like to be able to do our own response to school safety. But again, going to the conference in a couple of weeks and sitting there and representing this district, Sonali would like just a little direction. Is there anyone who feels differently? And these resolutions were passed out to you about a week ago.
So
It's Joe and I have talked about it. We really think you've got to walk the fine line here. You don't want to sign in and have a resolution calling for or demanding that we act a certain way. We want to be able to do it in our own way.
The only
So-
one that IASB actually supports is where they support having the school boards having local control in determining what should be done. There's nothing there's no resolution that says that we should do anything or shouldn't do anything. That is the only one that IASB supports, that if anything ever comes up in the future, they would support that the school board has a local control on it. The state doesn't mandate or state what we should be doing, and every school board gets to decide for themselves what is or not what they want to do. So that is the resolution that IASB supports, and that is anything else is, and there is no other resolution about anything else regarding school safety.
Some of the other models are a little more drastic and call for some specifics, such as weapons and things of that nature. And if that is the type of debate we're going to have, we're certainly not going to just do that flippantly and sign off on something that's created by a group from another part of the state. So we would really need to look at this completely from top to bottom. This is the innocuous way of the School Board Association walking through the woods here and not getting stuck by any thorns.
I mean, I was just looking for, you said that there was only one that wasn't recommended by the School Board Association. I just was wondering where you guys stood on that. I mean, and just blatantly going 1 through 8 and looking for your recommendation before we had a discussion.
We
thought you
feel the
said-
same way.
I thought you said ISB only said they
ISB.
would support one.
You misunderstood. They only support one.
Right, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just
yeah.
spoke wrong.
We think
We're in
that's the right
support
way.
of that. We think that's the right direction.
Okay.
That way, Julie, if there
Local
were
support.
a need for us to do things with school safety, we'll determine what
Right.
that is rather than someone somewhere else. That's what you're elected for. That is your responsibility, to keep the students and the staff safe here. And if there are actions that we need to take, we'll make strong recommendations and work with you in order to fulfill those.
I mean, if you want to go through 1 through 8 quickly, I'm fine with it. It's just whatever anybody else wants to do.
We recommend not.
At the meeting, I think it's Jason, Matt, and me are the only 3 people going this time. So if Matt or Jason want to represent on the delegation, they are more than welcome to do it too.
Don't do it. No.
Let me just say that I actually really enjoyed doing it last year. I think
Yeah.
it was very
It is
interesting to see. I think there were,
Yeah.
I don't remember the number exactly, but I want to say maybe 362 was the amount of delegates representing different districts. And although, we had made our decisions beforehand and there was nothing so compelling that made me even consider going rogue, it was interesting to hear the different, to hear the different things. And what it was really based upon, I think, was kind of geographical location, was definitely a big part of it. That districts' needs in different places were different than
Yeah, the
ours. But-
regional differences are really
Yeah.
pronounced, and they come into play when you're at a meeting.
But
like
it,
that.
if you're deciding what to do, I really did think it was an interesting place to be, and it just gave you a different appreciation for things. So I would recommend, it is an opportunity for someone.
Anything else?
No, I think you've got your
think you
direction
got it.
and
Okay.
I think it's
So,
good.
so I have a few things I wanted to touch upon. This is the last week for our informational meetings. So we have one meeting at Aspen Library on Thursday at 6:30. And then we have one on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock at the Village Hall. These are our last 2 informational meetings. On Wednesday night, we have the BPAC, where I will go. I'm not actually presenting. Art is going to say a few words on our behalf, because that way we won't have to get translators and stuff for the presentation. I will be there to answer any questions in specific that would be there. Art would help translate those questions and answers back for me. But I will attend that meeting at the BPAC on Wednesday.
Thank you.
So that's
Thank
that for the meetings. We are still available on emails to contact us, the superintendents, Abe, everybody's emails are on the district site. We have the referendum website. There's a link to it. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. We have our mailer went to the printer today. Thank you, Wes and Leslie, for doing a lot of work on it and getting it into the printer's hands today. It should be in a week's time or so. It should be in the houses too. We have Veterans Day breakfast on Friday, November 9th at 8 to 10 a.m. at Middle School South. It's a nice event to come to, so if you can make it, you're invited to come. I would like to thank, again, the Elementary North family for their generous donation, as well as I'd like to thank Mr. Escobar, who donated 10 fire tablets to the first graders at dual language.
Yeah, that was
Thank you
cool.
so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Thank
picture
you.
was said 1,000
you.
words
Yes.
with him surrounded by the kids and their tiny little tablets. So thank you so much, Mr. Escobar. So that is it. I had a quick note of thanks to say this is a National Principals Month. So on behalf of the Board of Education as well as the community, I'd like to thank Katie Wagner at Elementary North, Mr. Collins at Middle North, Dr. Hawk at Town Line, Dr. Tomei at Jewel, Dr. Jill Martin at Elementary South, Mr. Fredrickson at Aspen, Mr. Natal at Middle South, Miss Carol Bennett at Early Childhood, and Miss Terry Begilla at John Powers. I wanted to say a few words, just because. So on behalf of the Board of Education and the community that you're a vital part of, I'd like to thank all of you for all your hard work, dedication, and commitment to not only your students and staff, but to this community. You all have an incredible responsibility as a leader, and we couldn't find a group of talented, kind, and compassionate leaders as all of you are. Other than being a leader to your students and staff, you're also an instructor, mentor, role model, friend, confidant, therapist, counselor, and a diplomat. You balance all these roles and many more in order for your staff and students to succeed, and you do it with great grace and dignity. I hope all of you know how well loved you are by your students and loved and respected by your community. Thank you all for all that you do. Yes, I would also like to acknowledge the assistant principals, but they get April as their month, so I did leave them out of this. It wasn't on purpose. I didn't forget you.
They have their own month.
But they have their own month in April. But I would like to thank Ms. Goldman and Carrie and Chrissy Hunter. So thank you so much too for your principals too. I'm sure you're all of those things and much more.
Stay tuned for April.
Stay tuned for April.
Sonali, I had a question about the mailers real quick.
Yes.
Am I correct if I assume that those mailers are sent to every address that's in the district boundary, or how do we choose?
I think it's sent to every address.
Every address
Okay.
in the district.
I had a couple people say that haven't been getting the things,
I think
and they
it has
happen
to
to
be a-
both live on the same street, a few houses apart.
They
So I was
should contact us and we
Okay.
can make sure they're added.
okay.
We do
I was
our
wondering
very
if like
best,
somehow a
but
whole
there's
street or
always
a whole
few.
route, or
Right.
I know it's up to the postal service as to when they want to deliver these things.
I
so.
did get a mail from somebody in Ohio, so I don't know if the mail services work.
So maybe they're wondering why they got a postcard for this
It
referendum.
came to me. It had the address Ohio on it, and I don't know how I got their mail. And it's an important letter, so
No
I sent it
comment.
back.
Stamps are going up, all-time record high.
Bulk mail is very iffy.
Yeah.
This next one is first class. I hope everybody gets it.
Okay.
If not, let us know and we'll
Okay.
get you on that list.
Thanks.
That's it. That's it. We don't have any closed session. So, any topics? Anything else anybody would like to discuss in the future? We have a busy few weeks coming up. Do I have a motion?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second that one.
Motion by Julie, seconded by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
7:48.
Our gift to the principals and other administrators, go home earlier than you thought.
For some reason.